So here we are, the actual abilities. Weapons are nice and all, definitely like the cherry on top, but it's the abilities that make it through the level. It's the abilities that get you all the collectibles you need to get 100% completion. So first up, we have the Scientist, a character you could probably plop into any LEGO game besides like Star Wars and Middle Earth, and he'll probably look like he could fit in. But the first ability we're looking at are tech access, or tech panels. Characters with technology access can access these green things on the wall and control whatever it enables. Sometimes it's a little RC car, sometimes it's a helicopter, it really depends. The Scientist, despite having no accessory, can access tech panels, which makes sense. I mean, he's a scientist. I mean, there is another character who's guaranteed, straight up guaranteed, to be in every level you play. In free play, that renders this guy useless. But it's nice that they at least gave this guy some sense of purpose. Ah yes, the sidekick to Batman himself. There are two more abilities that will be introduced in this segment. The first being the Batarang. I briefly mentioned this in the Bruce Wayne segment, but Batman and Robin have the Batarang. Using it, they can target breakable objects and enemies and hit them from afar. You can't even aim with guns, so having a Batarang that you can actually aim is very useful. Sometimes you need to use the Batarang to progress in the level. It's not very often, but it happens. The other ability Batman and Robin possess is the grapple. They can reach higher elevations using the grapple, and it's exclusive to the heroes. This is the most basic version of Robin. His 4 specialized suits used throughout the game will be counted as separate characters. But despite the grappling and Batarang, it's just barely enough to get him into the 30s. Nevertheless, here on forward is when the series actually gets interesting, and the placements may be controversial. Strap in, boys. Yes, instead of Batman, we have the female counterpart, Batgirl. Now, when the heroes aren't in a specialized suit and are instead in their standard suit, they're pretty much all the same. They all have batarangs and grapple. Of the 4 heroes in their standard suits, I placed Robin as the last because he's the least cool looking and the least experienced. Batgirl is second to last because, well, I mean, the other 2 guys ahead are cooler. This is the Barbara Gordon Batgirl, which is what I'd expect since this is the most well-known version. Also, in case the hair isn't enough proof that it isn't Cassandra Cain, the DS version has Barbara Gordon just straight up as a playable character, so like separate from Batgirl. So there you go. Batgirl's never got the shine in any LEGO DC game. I mean, she was a boss in LEGO DC Supervillains, but that's as much as it goes. Kind of strange that Batgirl got the most shine in the LEGO DC game that doesn't have Batman in the title. Now here's the namesake of the game. Well, the first version of the guy in this list. Of course, as I've said, when the heroes aren't in a specific suit, they all have a Batarang and grapple, but the Batarang and grapple aren't specific to the classic suits, of course. Even when the heroes are in a specialized suit, they can still use the Batarang and grapple. It should go without saying, but I might have made it sound like the heroes can only use these abilities when in the classic suit. But anyway, back to the character. It's the Batman. He's not even through the halfway point of the list, but with all the suits, some of them will make it at least past the halfway point. I can't go much into it now, but you'll see it all in due time. This Batman game was one of the very first LEGO games that made by TT Games, one that spirals into all the LEGO games we've gotten since. Whether or not that's a good thing is subjective, but the thing is, LEGO Batman, Godspeed. That's not God. Godspeed means thank you. I mean, wait. It means good luck. I mean to say thank you. There we go. Let's just move on. As a kid, I always thought Nightwing was the pleasant surprise of the game. Sure, the same could be said about Batgirl in this regard, but this version of Batgirl was never in a physical LEGO set. This Nightwing was in a LEGO set, a physical LEGO set, and it was exclusive to to the Arkham Asylum set that came out around that time. And that set is very nostalgic to me, even though I admittedly never got any of the 2007 Lego Batman sets, which irks me even to this day. Anyway, this Nightwing has the same suits as Robin, which makes sense because in the case you don't know Batman lore, Nightwing is the first Robin, Dick Grayson. We shouldn't laugh. But Nightwing in this game generally likes to flex his acrobatic skills, which is also a nice reference to his circus acrobatic origins, which may or may not be intentional. But Nightwing like flips around and his like moves are like super acrobatic-y, you know? Usually I'm not too picky on whether I should play Robin or Nightwing, but if you held a gun to my head and made me choose to play either Robin or Nightwing, I choose Nightwing in a heartbeat. Also, does this mean that the Robin in this game is Jason Todd, the one who died and became the Red Hood? That's a nice twist to the game. That's also kind of a dark twist at that. It's not as twisty as the Goon Boys, but I still think it's worth noting. Now, how I rank the 4 main heroes, remember that. That will be reflected with the future segments, because in terms of abilities, all 4 heroes with no special suit are the same. I rank them based on how they look. Also, Batman and Batgirl have the same exact suits, and Robin and Nightwing have the same exact suits. So Batman's special suit will always be ahead of the Batgirl version of that suit, and Nightwing's special suit will always be ahead of the Robin counterpart. But anyway, here's the new ability to the series, the glide ability. It's simple. It's simple to understand. Is there a big gap too wide to jump over? Use the glide ability, and they just might make it. There are several characters that have the glide suit, so that's why the hero glide suits are relatively low, but the glide ability is used a lot in both the story and in free play, so I understand why it's in the game in the first place. But as I've said, there are more characters that have a glide ability among other abilities, so sorry, the glide suit doesn't rank too high. I basically spoiled it in this placement in the last segment, but it's just, I mean, it's something to note. I mean, I straight up told you that if you see a Batgirl suit, a Batman suit is going to follow up. It's just something to note. But yes, the Batman glide suit is obviously the same as the Batgirl glide suit, but this is the version you play in the story. I don't know why, but I explicitly remember an Icy Reception is the first level in the game you play this specific suit, which is also the second level in the game. You know when you think of something and then a snapshot enters your head? Whenever I think of the glide ability in general, I think of a snapshot and an Icy Reception in the level. I don't know why, I just do that. I'm obviously not stretching for time. This suit is it's just very nostalgic, especially since it's Batman in the suit. I don't get that nostalgia with Batgirl. The glide suit, it helps tap into that kind of nostalgia, you know. Alright, now we're getting to the real nitty-gritty of the series. Now that the goons are over with, and the henchmen, and the whoever the frick, we're finally at the villains, the people that matter. Because with Batman and Robin in the hero campaign, you play them the entire thing. It's just, you get tired of playing them. But what I love about the villain campaign is that every level you play the same villain of that campaign, like the main villain, like Riddler, Penguin, or Joker, but then you play like someone new, and it's like, this is where most of the fun was had, playing the story mode of the villains, because you never knew what you were going to get. But here we got Two-Face. So let's just start with the fact that he has a double pistol. I love that, honestly. In the end, a double pistol doesn't take out enemies any faster or anything, but it looks cooler. Anyway, Two-Face has an ability never before seen in the series, and that is the toxic ability. No, he doesn't complain about how much he hates the new Star Wars movies, and no, he instead has the ability to traverse across these toxic gunk throughout the game. They are practically everywhere. I'm not even sure if there's a level without it. Gotham should really do something about that. It's making it really unsafe to just walk about you know. So yeah, having the toxic ability is very useful because of just the sheer amount of it there is in the game. I like in the Riddler campaign, an enterprising theft level. There's literally a pool of toxic gunk, and Two-Face just swims in it no problem. It's amazing. Whoa, you're telling me that the big bad boy of the first of the 3 hero campaigns is relatively lower on the list? Well, yeah, he only has one ability, and it's one we haven't seen yet. The Riddler has the mind control ability, and if you see an unsuspecting man in an area you cannot reach, and if he has a question mark above his head, you can take control of him and make him do whatever he can do in that room. Most of the time it's just like pulling a lever or something. But I feel like the developers were just at a loss as to what ability to give the Riddler, because, I mean, depending on what version you're talking about, what version of the Riddler, he may or may not have powers. But typically he's just a riddle dude. I mean, there might be some magic in his little staff there, but I don't know. There are other characters in the game in which it makes more sense for them to have the brainwash ability or mind control. But hey, the Riddler does it with this cool question mark staff, and that is exclusive to the Riddler, so that is noteworthy. And you know, I'll write the mind control ability off as, you know, it's a pass. So here's the next character with the mind control ability. While with the Scarecrow, I get the mind control even less. You can attach the mind control to the Riddler, and like I said, I'll give it a pass because, I mean, some versions of the Riddler have him doing that kind of stuff. But you give it to Scarecrow, and yeah, I'll accept it, but it makes less sense. But however, I understand that Scarecrow is an important Batman villain, and you gotta give him something. But I mean, the Scarecrow's whole thing is that he terrorizes people by showing them their worst fear. So, I mean, that doesn't really have much to do with mind control, does it? I don't know, maybe I'm nitpicking. Also, something I forgot to mention from the Riddler segment is that besides the unsuspecting mind control victim behind a wall, there's also like a window with a question mark on it, and a character with the mind control can use the window to trick the guy who's behind the window into opening the door, or wherever the case may be. The guy, like, he looks at you, and then the villain does like a little gesture, and then the guy suddenly becomes like a robot and then nods. This is a major stretch, but you could argue that Scarecrow is using his fear gas to scare the guy into doing what he wants. I mean, that's all in my head to kind of justify it.